Why did loss-making companies donate crores of rupees to political parties through electoral bonds? Why did some of these firms donate funds much higher than their profits? Why did newly formed companies purchase electoral bonds despite the law saying it's a punishable offense? In this video, we look back at some of the stories published by The Hindu and raise some questions which we hope will be answered in the coming days. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Data Point. Over 1,200 companies and individuals have purchased electoral bonds and 24 parties encashed them. The total donations involved were over Rs 12,000 crore. The data disclosed by the State Bank of India on orders of the Supreme Court reveals the beneficiaries of the electoral bond scheme and also the biggest political donors. But there's more to it than what meets the eye. Firstly, 20 new companies have purchased electoral bonds within 3 years of their existence. According to the law, this is a punishable offense. Many provisions of the Companies Act were changed in 2017 just before the introduction of electoral bonds. However, the clause stopping companies before turning 3 from donating to political parties was retained. So even in the electoral bonds era, companies less than 3 years old were barred from making political contributions. But data shows these 20 companies did so. At the time of their first purchase, 5 of these companies were in existence for less than a year, 7 of them were only a year old, and 8 others had only completed 2 years. Companies like Besigen Infotech, HH Iron and Steel Limited and Astras Logistics Private Limited have donated more than 10 crore. The Companies Act 2013 states that the officers of defaulting firms shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 6 months. How did these 20 new companies escape scrutiny and purchase bonds despite the law barring them? Secondly, at least 33 companies that had an aggregate loss of over Rs 1 lakh crore between FY17 and FY23 donated close to 582 crores. Half of these companies paid zero to negative taxes in this period. The BJP encashed 75% of the bonds purchased by these loss-making companies. Bharati Airtel, the top donor among loss-making companies, donated close to 198 crore despite recording a loss of over Rs 75,000 crore between FY17 and FY23. Dariwal Infrastructures, the second on the list in terms of electoral bond purchases, bought bonds worth Rs 115 crore despite recording losses of over Rs 300 crore in the same period. How did these loss-making companies raise substantial amounts to donate to political parties? From where did these companies, which failed to pay direct taxes, find money to donate to political parties? Importantly, were some of these companies which did not pay their taxes engaged in tax evasion? Many companies have donated much higher than their net profits. For instance, Western UP Power Transmission Co Limited recorded a net profit of 167.9 crore in the FY21 to 23 period, while they purchased bonds worth Rs 220 crore in the same period. MTJ Enterprises Limited recorded profits of Rs 53 crore in the period but purchased bonds worth Rs 111 crore. How did a company donate much higher than their profits? Importantly, how did these companies function despite donating all their profits or even double their profits in some instances? Apart from these questions raised based on the recently published stories by the Hindu data team, there are still many unanswered questions from the stories published last month. Many companies which purchased electoral bonds, had also faced regulatory actions. In some cases, these donations came a little after their premises were searched by the ED and the IT department. Should these be treated as cases of extortion? Many pharma companies which purchased electoral bonds were also in the crosshairs of the US FDA over quality control. Should these transactions be treated as quid pro quo? It's been over a month since the electoral bonds data were released to the public. Since then, various news outlets, including The Hindu, have published hundreds of stories slicing and dicing the transactions from various angles. These investigations have led to many questions, some of which we discussed today. Given that the agencies investigating financial crimes are themselves involved in the controversy, will an independent probe yield some results? Let's wait and watch.